Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Because yes, you are welcome here for another fun episode of what? Financial Fun Friday. And I am your co-host, Darlene Jenkins, and my other co-host,
Dr. Rita B. Rowland.
yes, Dr. Rita B. Rowland. And of course, we are with Affordable Benefit Solutions, who are bringing you this Financial Fun Friday, where we're always bringing you what's new, but more importantly, what's next in the financial services industry. So, Financial Fun Fridays, for those of you that are joining us for the very first time, this is a webinar that we broadcast at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the first and third Friday each month. And we also broadcast live simultaneously on Facebook. So hello, all of my Facebook watchers. Hey, Joan, how are you this morning? And during this broadcast, what we do is we pull back the curtain so that you can get an in-depth understanding of not only your employer benefits, but we also give you some of the best retirement preparation options, as well as financial tips and strategies and tools. If you would like to join us live on this broadcast, you can always register to be here live on the broadcast, where when you talk, we talk right back to you. You can do that at ritabrolandevents.com. Or if you're on Facebook Live with our other watchers, you can also find us there at Your AB Solutions, or go over to our YouTube channel and check out all of our past broadcasts, right, Rita?
Absolutely.
But speaking of, so this is also our check-in time. I didn't forget. This is our check-in time because we know you watch us from all over the country. And so if you could just check in right now, if you're here live on the broadcast, just type in the chat where you're watching us from. If you're on Facebook, put it right there in the chat and let us know where you're watching us from. And speaking of some of the best retirement preparation options that we offer, Rita, we gotta talk about last night.
About last night, it was good. It was good.
Yes.
So you want to tell them, Darlene, or you want me to tell them? Go ahead, Darlene, you tell them.
Well, I'm going to tell them.
So, Darlene looks a little frozen, or is it that I'm frozen? But one of us is frozen.
One of us is frozen, and you just unfroze, and it's me. It's me. I just got caught saying I'm unstable. So bear with me, please, everybody. Bear with me. So last night, before I get into our purpose, so last night, for those of you who joined us on the last Financial Fun Friday, you know, we had an event coming up we were premiering the Baby Boomer Dilemma documentary movie. And when I tell you, you all came out, for those of you who missed it, oh my gracious, the audience members that did come out, they were all just talking about, you know, the information that was shared in the film. Many of them were like, hey, I'm just going to come out to support you, Darlene. I'll come out to support you, Rita, because they have worked with us. They've worked with other people. And they were like, oh my God, I need to get another meeting with you. I thought I had it all together. I need to listen to some of those things you suggested that I do and implement those strategies now. So when we had the next event, please make sure you're there. Rita, what was your take?
Yeah. It's just that people were texting, calling, and they wanted to share with their family and friends, because it's one thing for me and you and for them to get information. But as I told them last night, is that, you know, when you think about your financial future, if you're not informing those that you love, those that you around a lot, you're going to have to, because if they run out of money, they're going to be in your money. So really getting everybody you know to be in a good position. And the movie, you guys, was called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. But we had some young folks in their 30s and coming out and saying, what do I need to do now? Because I don't want that to be me. So even though it was about the baby boomers. We had some people that were younger said, can you do this for the rest of us? Because everybody needs to see this movie. And they, the movie was about the baby boomers in terms of their retirement. But I believe, just like the young people, if I prepare early, I can be in a better position for that place. So it was very good, you guys. We loved it. We had some good old popcorn. Like, I had not been in a movie since, before the pandemic. So it was like, oh my God, I'm out.
Yes, that was a whole nother experience. We had someone that's on right now with us, both here on the webinar as well as on Facebook, that was there last night. And in the chat, she said it was a wealth of knowledge last night. So yeah, thank you all for coming out, and stay tuned. We will be having another event. So yeah, just stay tuned. But back to the regularly scheduled program here. The purpose of the Financial Fun Friday series that we do is just to help you understand your benefits that you have, your money, your spending habits, and then to support and offer solutions that are going to enable you to reach your financial destination. And that event last night, that's just one of the things that we do to help you enable you rather to meet your financial destination. Uh-oh. For those of you who have been with us from the beginning, you know we are know some glitches in the system. So, but this webinar, before we get into the meat of the matter today, because this is part 2 of our money and emotions, I just want to let you know that the information we're going to be going over is presented in a very generic context, because without having individual knowledge of everybody that's on here, we can't tailor it to your particular situation. But I tell you what you can do and what we can do for you. Any information that you see here that you're like, I need to know more about that. Hey, you're talking to me. Reach out to us at 301-577-6340, and your Financial Fun Friday team, we can customize all of this information to suit your particular situation. So with that in mind, please accept the information that we're going to be sharing today as journaling context and apply it where you feel it fits your particular situation right now. But again, reach out to your Financial Fun Friday team at 301-577-6340. because we are here to help as your community partner. Now, this month's theme is emotions and money. And as the picture says right here, stop letting your emotions run the way you manage your money. Right, Rita? So Absolutely. Let's just jump into and just pick right up where we left off last broadcast.
All right, so now Ms. Jenkins has to give me permission to share my screen.
Okay. You got it, girl, you got it.
You got to stop yours, I guess. They won't let me share it.
You can go ahead. You should be able to share now.
It won't. It says you got to stop sharing. Do you want to? Oh, okay. So see, it's called tech. See, what happened? What had happened was I was sleepy. So we're talking about emotions and money. And when you think about emotions, we talked about last time about the emotions of maybe anger, stress, happy.
Rita, I'm sorry. I told everybody to check in, and I didn't ask you where they're checking in from. So I'm just going to say good morning from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Good morning, that would be Beatrice. Good morning, Denise. Good morning, Tangi. And good morning, Joan. We are watching, that's Fort Washington, Maryland. We also have Washington State. Good morning. Thank you for getting up. So Rita, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Washington, D.C. in the house. Number 2.
Marlboro. We got Delaware. So we thank everybody for coming in. Thank you, Darlene.
Yes, I'm so sorry, but yes. So rewind that and play it back.
Ooh, okay. So we're talking about our emotions and our money. And we're just not talking about the normal emotions of being, as we discussed last week, angry, unforgiven, sad, happy. Those things play a major role in how we sometimes deal with our money on the fly. So if somebody made you upset or if you're depressed, you may go shopping. Those emotions we discussed last time, but these emotions that we're going to talk about this week is going to come from this another way. And it's really from the book called The Psychology of Money. And I think everybody should get it. And the author name is Morgan Housel, and that's The Psychology of Money. And Darlene will put that in the chat box for you. And Morgan Housel, his name is Morgan Housel, Housel, like house and add an L. This book is phenomenal, and it ain't just for us, it's for everybody, because you really need to understand. And one of the things that I took a course from at church, and this woman said that money is a spirit, and I bought her book. And you think about it, and I read a lot of books about money and spirit, and it said we have to capture it first in the spirit realm so that we can be able to pull it down to this one. And if you think about that, money is a creation, right? And so we have to honor it and respect it. And I remember crying to the Lord one day. I know y'all said, Rita, this ain't church, but that's okay, because this is my story, okay? Crying, I do all of this, and I'm tithing, and I'm helping people, and I'm just wailing to the Lord, y'all. This was years ago. And he was like, Rita, I don't care how much you cry. If you don't put something in the ground, if you don't have anything for me to water, I'm God. I don't change because of you. And so when we think about everything about money, we have to be intentional about it. And Warren Buffett said, there is not reason to risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need. Darlene, when I tell you that right there is mine, if you understand this point, there is not a reason to risk what you have and what you need for what you don't have and what you don't need. Sounds like greed to me. And not having enough. And so when we think about this, that's an emotion. Greed is a feeling that controls us, that takes money out of our pocket. And so when we think about the word enough, this is the year of us really understanding. And so if you go to the etymology dictionary, which I love, it goes to the root of the word, and it says sufficient in quantity or number, to reach, attain, to bear, carry, sufficiently for the purpose. So Darlene, enough is sufficiently for the purpose. So if the purpose is for you to retire or to buy a house or to do this, is it worth you risking what you have and what you need for what you don't have and what you don't need? So the quantity or number sufficient for the purpose. So we, as I know that's me, all of us have just trying to get more, and we end up losing. And sometimes we don't necessarily lose money. We lose relationships. We lose time with our family, quality time with our friends. We lose our health, striving for something, wanting more than what we don't even need. The word net says it's a quantity that is large enough to achieve your purpose. Mm-hmm. Look, y'all, I'm in this field. We're helping our clients create the wealth that they need to live in retirement. But this gave me a personal perspective, even in my own planning. As much as necessary, plenty is non-standard and sufficient for the purpose. And the synonym is adequate. And it says equal to what is needed or desired. What happens is that we're going to talk about some stuff today, and I may not finish because I don't want to rush it. So we're going to talk about what is enough. And so when enough, is it enough for you? And so there's a few things when you need to think about this whole emotional place. Is understanding that the hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving. Well, what does that mean, Jenkins, is that we always have this expectation of what we want. And then once we get there, we now striving to go somewhere else. So the goalposts of our dreams, of our desires are constantly moving. Now, we're not telling you to settle. We're not telling you to not want to aspire to do good, to be better, to have enough money, sufficient enough to do what is necessary for your dreams and your goals, and enough for emergencies, because that's all part of the game. But part of the enough is all of the things that we talk about the budget. If you know me and Darlene, if you ever sat down with us, our foundation is a budget. The budget allows us to see what do we need and what do we want. And is there room in that budget for what? Emergency. We got miscellaneous, because even if your budget is $5,000, I'm gonna add another 10% or 15, because guess what? Does life happen? And so when we think about retiring or we think about anything we want, we got to make sure that the goalpost does not keep moving. And in case that one step forward, it makes two other steps, the goalpost to move two more steps. So as you think about where you want, look at that number and say, and I'm going to talk about, if you're not here, it is the next point, is social comparison is the problem. Because many times, Darlene, you thought you were okay until you sat down with your friend or you saw somebody else and you saw what they had. Now, all of a sudden, you want what they had. So now what you had isn't enough. And so are you willing to give up everything? That social comparison is a problem. And I remember Darlene and I have been in this business a long time. And I remember our manager said that comparison is the thief of tomorrow. I believe it's not only the thief of tomorrow, it obviously is the thief of our financial situation, because we're constantly comparing. So you make 150,000. That's good. You got money, you got leftover, you're saving, your family is fine. But then you see your coworker who's an SES on this top and they may making 200. Now, all of a sudden you're willing to sacrifice your time with your kids after school, all of this stuff so that you can get to that $200,000 mark. Please hear me. I'm not telling you should not be your goal, but what are we willing to sacrifice for it? Sacrifice is part of this whole thing. There's always going to be a sacrifice, but are you willing to sacrifice it just so that you can compare? You know, growing up, y'all old school, what did our mama used to always tell us, Darlene? Let me see if she remember, y'all. What did she used to tell us about comparing ourselves?
Oh, well, my mother would say, well, I'm your mother. We're going to do what we're doing over here. It don't matter what they're doing over there. That's what my mom used to tell me.
Because we need to stop comparing ourselves to who?
To other people.
To other people. And there was a story, I think in this book, it talked about a baseball player. He was making $500,000. Like, he was good. He was a rookie. And then all of a sudden he met this other guy who was making $430 million. Now all of a sudden, he not making enough money, and he's doing everything so that he can make more money, because he now met someone who got 20 years in the business who's making $430 million. So in addition to comparing, we allow greed to move us into some places that we're not even ready for.
And Rita, one other thing too, oftentimes when we are doing those comparisons, we don't realize what chapter in life they're in. So we're comparing our maybe chapter 1 in our book of life to their chapter 20. And we haven't gone through the steps. And one thing that was brought up in the movie that they talked about in terms of enough and risk is that it's something called FOMO, the fear of missing out. And that's Absolutely. Also how a lot of people end up in situations that they didn't want to be in. Fear of missing out. I want to do this because everybody else is doing it, when what they already have is enough. Yes, and we just had a comment trying to keep up with the Joneses.
That's exactly what I was looking for. That is what we keeping up with the Joneses. And what we don't understand is the sacrifice that the Joneses went through to get there. We don't know what they had to risk. We don't know what went into what they had. And we constantly look at people, and then you get to hear their story, and you think and can see one thing, but what it truly is not. And so we're trying to achieve something, looking at someone else, and what they going through is trauma. Remember, you guys, I told you my story. Now, my story wasn't necessarily the comparison, but I actually I wanted this house. Now, I honestly knew I could not afford that $500,000 house. But in my mind, my goalpost now was I had to make that mortgage. So it was constantly pushing to make more so I can pay this $5,000 mortgage in 2001. Yeah, I know some of y'all thinking, let me just stop for a second, Darlene, and bring people back, because I know some people just fell off the chair. Some people mouth open. Some people like, this girl crazy. Let me just give y'all a minute to gather yourself so y'all can come back, because that's what it was. It wasn't enough. I moved from a $750 apartment, 1 bedroom, to this house that I couldn't afford. And it wasn't my time, because I wasn't prepared for it financially. I made the money, but what did I sacrifice to keep it going? I sacrificed everything until the Lord had to send me a dream to say, you need to move. And even then I'm fighting him like the first night, like, Jesus, you ain't talking to me because I live next to Gephardt, Gaynor, Chief Rainey, like this is where I live over here with the rich people. He had to send me that dream again and say, you're not one of them. And you're going to lose that house. And then all of a sudden, I was very clear, Darlene, that wasn't me talking.
Absolutely. And honey, we got to moving and getting that house.
Yeah. So we got the ceiling of social comparison. We got to be very understanding that it's so high that virtually no one can ever get it. And so, because once you reach that point, do you compare yourself to the next one? Do you compare yourself to the next one? And this story is so interesting, is that we get to enough is too little. And there's two stories, I won't remember all their name, but one guy was what is his name? Ranjat. He was, let me get his name right. Bernie Madoff was one, and Ranjat Gupta. Now, Ranjat Gupta came from India, y'all. He was broke, poor, grew up with nothing. He had a business, and that he became the CEO of McKinsey. It's the world's most prestigious consulting firm, the world. He retired in 2007. He went on to do work with the United Nations and the World Economic Center. The World Economic Forum. You guys, when he retired, he was at, I think like they said, $500 million. Now, $500 million. The earnings on his money, he was making 5% on his money, which equals $600 per hour for 24 hours a day. So the earnings on his money, Darlene, was almost 15 grand a day. That's just the earnings a day. So his earnings on his return was almost $450,000 a year. That was just the return. That wasn't the money. Do you know what he did? He got whiffed that Warren Buffett was about to help, what's that bank, that Goldman Sachs? And he told someone else, and they did inside trading. And he went to jail, y'all. And he is somebody who had plenty money. He retired in his 40s to go on to do big things, had enough money to cover his life just from the return, and he wanted more. Warren Buffett, not Warren Buffett, Bernie Madoff. Let me read y'all what this says about him. The Wall Street Journal described him as a market-making firm. He said he built a highly profitable securities firm, Bernie L. Madoff Investment Security, which siphons a huge volume of stock trades away from the big board. The 740 million average daily volume of trades executed electronically by the Madoff firm off the exchange equaled 9% of the New York Stock Exchange. Now, this one man in his company had 9% of the whole New York Stock Exchange market. Now, when you study, you know how big all of these advisors in this country, and this one man had almost 10% of it. The other 99 was shared with the millions of other reps. He said that his firm can execute trades so quickly and cheaply that it actually pays other brokerage firms a penny a share to execute their customers' orders, profiting from the spread between the bid and the ask prices of most stock. This man's business was legitimate. He was that part of his business. They said that part of the business was making somewhere between $25 and $50 million a year. Now, why would somebody who's making that much money, God gave him a brain to be that powerful that he had 10% of the market to now go rip off people of almost $600 million being greedy? When is enough too little? That was something. And so some of y'all was like, Rita, I don't even got $1 million. Okay. Don't compare yourself to him. Compare yourself to what you have, what you need. And if you don't know what you need, sitting down with someone like us to help you put together a plan so that, it's people still working. I know I have a client now, I think she's 72 or 73. She got 50 years in the government and will not retire because she wants more. Had a client last year, he had $800,000 in his thrift in 2020. He was like, Rita, I'm coming back to move it. I want to move 500,000. I just want to get to $1 million. His greed wanted him to get to $1 million. Do you guys remember what happened in March of 2020? That 800,000, he lost 200. So now instead of him having 800 and he only 200 away from $1 million, he now down in his 5, he wanted to move 5. He got to wait. So now he got to wait for time. He need now double what he lost just to get back to that place because enough was too little for him. And the last one, I'm not going to go because of time. Yeah, I want to keep you guys. Is there are many things never worth risking, no matter the potential gain. And when Gupta came out of prison, he said that what he lost was his reputation. There are some things that we may lose trying to gain that we can't get back. And he said that he wished he would have not done this because the hardest thing now, the goalpost he trying to get to, is to build back his reputation. And the money that he took from people and people who thought, think of Madoff, now he's passed away, but who would trust him again? People lost their whole life savings. Their whole life has changed. Their children education changed. Reputation is real. And what's something else that we can't get back that's invaluable? Your reputation, freedom and independence, because being too greedy led them to prison. Being able to touch and love on those that you love, is it worth losing them for? And the last thing is happiness is invaluable. What makes you happy? Not enough, too much. Begin to look at your finances from a place that you really understand it. And to be okay with, I think we as people, period, have a tendency to want more than what we need. And I have to be careful, y'all, because we're on social media, this is business. But for me to really understand what God is saying to me, I was in a meeting a few weeks ago, and they was like, Rita, you can make all of this. They, doing 50 billion. And I had to go back to my hotel room and pray and say, God, what is it that you want from me? Because sometimes we look at other people and we hear this, what I could do, this, what my business can do. And I just had to ask God, what did he want from me? And so as you think about this, you was like, Rita, this is not about your budget. This ain't about your financial statement, but it is, because when you understand the emotions that's attached to how we make these decisions, it makes a difference in whether you have enough, don't have enough. If you stressed about it and you're trying to gain money and every night you stress, you can't sleep. What's going on? Because we're trying to get to where we need to be. And so the next time we come back, we're going to talk about some more things, but the next session talk about getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. Good investing is not necessarily about making good decisions. I love this, Darlene. It's about consistently not screwing up. Let me read that again for those that are online and can't see the screen. Good investing is not necessarily about making good decisions. It's about consistently not screwing up. And when we come back next time, we're going to talk about some things is a survival mindset to help keep us from 3 things. And so we'll talk about the big returns, planning, and the personality so that we can make sure that not only that we get wealthy and that we stay wealthy. And be very clear, wealthy is different from all of us, because wealthy to Darlene with a daughter could be different from wealthy for me and a husband and no children. Everybody's wealth is different, and wealth for you may not be money. Maybe Darlene, part of her wealth plan is what she transferred to her daughter, that she leaves an impact on her daughter's life, that she is changed for the rest of her life because of what mommy passed to her. That is wealth. It's not always in dollars and cents. And so that spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Because tell you, we done bought things that we couldn't afford, houses, cars, clothes. I had this girl client, she had a purse. She said she paid $1,700 for some designer purse. And she didn't have, I think she said her savings was $500. I'm trying to understand Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. So next week, you guys, next time we was going to start something else, but let's finish this and let's talk more, because once we can really grab hold of these, and it's so much to talk about. It was talking about the GDP from 1850 to 2020 grew probably like about 70%, or no, I'm sorry, over 700% over that time period. But when it talked about everything that went on from that point, we had wars, we had the Great Depression, we had, I think they said like 50 something market decline. We had 9/11. We had major things that happened. So even as we were growing, we was having loss at the same time. And that's another thing that we'll look at, that when you think about your growth, it's not going to be always flower. As we just talked about, there's going to be some tough times that come, and you got to be able to withstand those tough times as you're trying to grow. And so this is really good. Like, again, the book is called The Psychology of Money. I will put that on the Facebook in the chat, and I think Darlene may have put it here. So it's important for us to truly understand that. And so, Darlene, if you could take it from him, if anybody have any questions. I know this is not some you're looking for a number, financial or product. Is really understanding emotionally how we are connected to our money and how that impacts our future.
And I'm going to, after this session, and you all can head over, please, to our Facebook page to answer this. I want you to you can drop it in the chat right now, but I am going to put this on Facebook. Tell us, as we talk about emotions and money, one lesson you learned growing up about money. What is a life lesson you learned, or maybe you wish you had learned growing up that you now know? So planning is bringing the future into the present so you can do something about it now. And that's what we're trying to do here. And this quote is attributed to Mr. Alan Lakin. That's what planning really is, going out there and coming back here now to make it happen. So, Rita. That's right, Denise, save for a rainy day.
And then on Facebook, wrong priorities. And, we really have to begin to look at our own selves. And you know what else to y'all? Just the life coaching me. Shame is something.
You're on mute, Rita.
Just talking my head off. And I was saying that on Facebook, Nick said that it's wrong priority. I mean, she said the Joneses, Tangi said wrong priorities. And paying yourself first is something I just learned. So she said her lesson was paying herself first. And I think it's so important that we really do begin to look at our own self and begin to not allow shame to dictate how we operate, because shame has really messed many of us up, because we are ashamed, because we're constantly comparing, and that comparison makes us feel shame about who we are and what we have. But maybe what you got at night is peace. I don't know about y'all, it's worth everything. Everything. I've learned some stuff during COVID, that this stuff don't matter. I don't know about y'all, but I realized being in the house, I was really content with the stuff that I had. Did I really need a bigger house? Did I really need all them clothes? When you realize, did you really need the stuff that you thought you had? It's so critical that this phrase, planning, is bringing the future into the present so that you can do something about it now. Looking at your old self and preparing for them. What do you need to give up, sacrifice today? What do you need to not do that you do today so that your future can be better? And I know you and, me and Darlene, we're a lot of time, we're talking about products, we're talking about this, we're talking about, the budget, the money, the annuity, the taxes. But Darlene, if we don't get a grip of this, those things are what cause even more problem, because taxes not necessarily is a problem. Market returns are not a problem. Sometimes greed is a problem. Sometimes not planning is a problem. And those things are connected to other things. So as we move forward, we want you to move forward with this mindset that your mind matters, your emotions matter, and how they cannot just connected to what we believe just our physical state, but they're really connected, darling, to our financial destination. And that's what we're helping you to get to. What's your financial destination? When you talk to Darlene, we're asking you, what are your goals? Because maybe your goal is just to be at home with your grandkids, but do you need $12 billion for that? I'm sorry, y'all. This part, just the life coach of me and the elder, I'm just getting, so you better go because, you know, I'll be talking.
Yes, yes. So as Rita said, we here at Affordable Benefit Solutions, we are a full service financial solutions firm, and we can help you from A to Z in planning your finances because we look at things from a holistic, up high approach. So that includes retirement planning, estate planning, insurance services, which is financial planning, tax planning, helping you get your credit and debt. We offer solutions for that because all of that is going to be extremely important in putting together the type of retirement that you want to have. And it's going to be individual. So we're going to try here on Financial Fun Friday to eliminate that FOMO, Rita, the fear of missing out, because you are not missing out if you're planning for you and your loved ones. That's what we want to help you do. Is this thing, Rita, really not? So what's going to be right for you? Not for everybody else, but what's going to be right for you? Well, it depends. And that's why we want you to sit down with your Financial Fun Friday team or any of our Affordable Benefit Solutions team members. Contact us so we can help map out a strategy for you to help you, not your coworker, not your aunt or uncle, but for you to put all of the pieces together. And then once we get your pieces together, then we'll bring them in because as Rita mentioned early, if their pieces aren't together, guess where they're coming over to your piece of the pie. So let's make sure we do that.
I think when people understand, like when you start to really look at life, you really do understand when they say when you're on that plane to put your oxygen mask on first, even if you got your baby girl. I know it's tempted to save that baby girl, but if you ain't got enough air, you gonna die and the baby girl gonna die. So what they say, you gotta put yours on so you have enough air to save the next one. When we think about our future and our finances, you gotta save yourself. Because many times we trying to bail out our sister, our brother, our children from their financial situation. And you got this guilt that we go back to that emotion of guilt that causes you to give up everything and a sacrifice. But it's my mama would do it for me. Well, you can't continue to have that same, what is it, Darlene? That same mindset. That same mindset, because while mama is in the same position, you're about to create that same thing for your children because you're giving everything up. So it's a cycle that has to somewhere stop. And there's always going to be a sacrifice to change. Yes, it is. And we got to be willing to sacrifice so that we can be better on the other side. And then we can then help change the lives of all those people connected to us. We're more powerful than we think we are. We matter more than we think we are. Our future is connected to people, our mamas, our daddies, our brothers, our sisters, and our children, and those friends that are around. My future is important for Darlene, for me to be an example, for her to be one for me, because we don't want to have to take care of each other. We want to be able to live and enjoy each other. It's a difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. So for you all here, please join us again. Thank you for staying with us. This is our location here in, where are we at, Rita? Largo?
It's Largo, y'all. Across from the new
Largo, yes, we are. And that's just a part of the team right there. So thank you all for joining us today and for hanging in here, staying with us. Thank you everyone on Facebook for participating and answering those questions. And again, when this is over, please give me a couple of minutes now because I got to get it up there. And but we'll go over, answer our poll question, pass it on. And then next week, and Rita and I, we're doing something new this year. So for those of you who submit a question to us, or have a comment, but really we want your questions because this is give and take. We're here to serve you. So we need to know what you need from us. So for those
Absolutely.
of you, please submit all of your questions to us. And if we read your question on the air, you got
Got a gift.
to you.
Yes, we don't know. It could be a mug. It could be a Fed Friday notebook and a pen. It could be a gift card. It could be a shirt. So you guys don't know. So bring everything. Here goes Sapphire. I love the name. Questions. That's right. Bring your questions to the floor.
Bring your questions and meet us here on April 1st. Now, I know for many it's April Fool's Day, but here on Financial Fun Friday, we are not fooling around. So we will see you here on April 1st, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when you come, bring one. Tell all your friends and family. If you're on Facebook, forward this over to share it on your page, rather. That's what I mean. I'm still learning Facebook, believe it or not. But share it on your page. Don't keep this good news to yourself. Share it with everyone. So thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And we will look forward to seeing you on April 1st on the broadcast.
Sapphire, we do wills. Yes, we do. So your question was, do we do wills? And the lawyer does that. So yes, please book an appointment and we can help you with that. So thank you. Just wanted to answer that question, Darlene. I'm done.
Absolutely. All right. Enjoy your day. It's a beautiful day outside. We're going to have a beautiful weekend. So
Yes.
Until the next time, see you later, everybody.
And be prepared.
Yes.